In the heart of the snowy Arctic, where the icy expanses stretch to the horizon, there once lived a polar bear named Arctic. He was a majestic creature with a shiny, snow-white skin, and his eyes shone with intelligence and vitality. From birth, he was one of the strongest and smartest bears in his region. Bears usually spent their days alone, hunting seals and exploring the endless glaciers. However, the Arctic was different from other bears. He had a unique ability to understand people, to see fears and hopes, joys and sorrows in their eyes. This property made him a kind of conductor between two worlds, the world of animals and the world of people. Every summer, when the ice begins to melt and the sun's rays become warmer, the Arctic man watched the people who came to his world. They brought research instruments, took pictures, and left footprints in the snow. Some of them looked happy, with cheerful faces and noisy conversations, while others seemed worried and wary. These observations have strengthened the desire in the Arctic to establish communication between the two worlds so that people understand the importance of harmony with nature. One day, during the polar night, when the stars were sparkling in the black sky, the Arctic witnessed an unusual event. A group of human explorers appeared on the horizon, looking for ways to ancient myths about lost treasures. The Arctic man was curious and, despite his nature, decided to get closer to find out what brought them to his icy country so much. He had never seen people so close and watched them with interest from afar, hiding behind rocks and ice growths. Among the group was a young scientist named Alex, who was looking for confirmation of the legends about the ancient Inuit tribe. This tribe, as ancient legends said, was deeply connected with nature and possessed knowledge that could help people and bears to coexist. Alex's friends, looking at the Arctic, were scared. They had always heard about wildlife and how dangerous polar bears were, but Alex sensed in the bear not a threat, but some kind of strange connection. There was fear in their eyes, but there was a spark of curiosity in Alex's eyes. With each passing day, the researchers delved deeper into the research, and Alex began to realize that climate change was threatening not only the animals, but also their expeditions. Every time he raised his head and looked at the giant icebergs and snow-capped peaks, his heart squeezed from the realization that all this could disappear. He thought a lot about his past and how the stone statues of his Inuit ancestors once guarded this land, how they were devoted to their culture and traditions. He dreamed of protecting all this and was looking for ways to turn to ancient knowledge in order to protect not only the earth, but also themselves. At night, when the rest of the researchers fell asleep, Alex stayed by the campfire, trying to figure out exactly how his research could help the team. At this time, he noticed that the Arctic began to perform unusual movements, as if he was trying to say something. The scientist, holding a flashlight in his hands, began to follow every step of the bear. At some point, he felt the bear calling him. Unable to stop himself, Alex stepped forward and found himself face to face with a majestic creature. Arctic suddenly stopped and looked into Alex's eyes, and at that moment, an incredible bond was established between them. It was as if something invisible had brought them together. Alex couldn't believe his eyes, but his heart was fluttering with excitement. The friendly place where the bear was dragging the man along seemed to place a common desire for understanding in them. The Arctic man felt that right now, perhaps, he had become a judge who could hit the needle on the time clock. Once in one of the caves, Alex witnessed ancient fluted symbols carved on the walls. They looked like hieroglyphs telling the story of the Inuit tribe. Arctic snuggled up to them, as if he wanted Alex to understand the importance of their meaning. The scientist quickly realized that the symbols were connected with the legend that if a man and a bear were united by true friendship, they could rule the world of ice and snow together. He barely had time to think about what kind of power it could give when another bear came out of the darkness, large and menacing, his eyes glittering in the dim light. This bear turned out to be an old enemy of the Arctic, whose name was Snow Fawn. Their confrontation lasted for many years, and Arctic knew that if he didn't stop Fong, he could attack people. The researchers woke up to a loud growl and soon realized that they were in the middle of an animal conflict. Alex tried to intervene, realizing that this was not just a struggle for survival, but also a battle to unite two worlds. He stood between the bears, shouting, "No, don't do that. We could be allies." At that moment, something changed in the hearts of both bears. They froze, looking at the young man who was watching them in awe. The Arctic, realizing that he could lose not only his life, but also the opportunity to be a link between people and animals, decided to slowly move towards his rivals. Suddenly, the Fong stopped. He also felt this strange excitement because there was a flash of understanding inside him. The two bears looked at each other warily and exchanged glances, realizing that their battle could have sad consequences not only for them, but for the entire icy world around them. Snowfong narrowed his eyes and looked at Alex, saying, "You, human, talk about friendship, but you don't know what real life on the ice is. You're taking over our land, and now you want us to become your allies." Alex felt his heart tighten. He knew that his people were destroying the bears' habitat, and that was the truth that no one wanted to hear. "I'm against it, Fong. I am here to do everything possible to protect your homes, your families. I want to help," he shouted, hoping his words would reach their hearts. However, another threat is already looming on the horizon. Due to climate change, the ice began to melt, and the mysteries of lost treasures could be in danger, as well as life itself on the ice. The researchers soon discovered that their actions could lead to the destruction of the bears' habitats. Arctic and Fong, realizing that they have a common goal, joined forces with people in the fight against this new threat. They knew that together they could make a difference. They had to work for the benefit of their fragile ecosystem. Alex suggested organizing a team, a group of people and animals who could work together to protect the Arctic. Arctic and Fong, looking at each other incredulously, realized that this was necessary. While working together on environmental protection projects, the researchers and the bears began making plans. Thanks to people's knowledge of technology and bear survival instincts, they created a group that drew attention to the problem of the disappearing ice sheet. Alex became the leader of this group, and together with Arctic and Fong, they appealed to the world for help. They used the power of social media to get their ideas across to as many people as possible. Even some companies have begun to respond by providing resources and funds to protect the Arctic environment. In parallel with aesthetics, together with other scientists, they began to install devices for monitoring the state of the environment. This has led to the creation of maps and diagrams showing the changes that have occurred as a result of climate change. Over time, the group received support from international environmentalists, and their efforts began to attract public attention. Newspapers and television channels began covering their work, showing photos of Arctic, Fong, and Alex working together. This story of friendship between a bear and a human has become a symbol of hope. People from all over the world began to realize that their actions could make a huge difference. Time passed, and thanks to the stubborn struggle and generosity of nature, the icy expanses began to recover. Arctic and Fong have become not only defenders of their world, but also symbols of unity between people and nature. They showed that friendship and cooperation can work wonders, even in the most difficult conditions. Alex realized that the real power lies not in dominance, but in respect for each other and the environment. One day, when everything was ready for a large environmental forum, Alex stood in front of large crowds of people and bears to tell his story. "We are here to unite for the sake of our common destiny. We must understand that our existence is inextricably linked to the life of animals and the ecosystem that surrounds us. If we want to preserve this wonderful world, we need to open our hearts to each other." His words filled the hearts of everyone present with hope for a better future. Many years have passed since these events took place, People have learned to appreciate and protect nature, and the Arctic has become a legend. Every Arctic night, when the stars lit up in the black sky, all the animals gathered around the fire to listen to stories about how the polar bear, man, and predator became allies, protecting not only their lives, but also the future of the whole world around them. So the story of the Arctic, Alex and Fong, continued to be passed down from generation to generation, showing that sometimes enemies can become friends if they learn to understand and listen to each other. In the end, Arctic and Fong became real heroes. Their spirit and desire for harmony inspired not only them, but also all the people who decided to change their habits and become part of the solution. This story of friendship and conservationists lit a fire in the hearts of future generations, and everyone knew that every step towards preserving the environment is a step towards a shared future. Together, they created a new world in which both bears and humans could live in harmony and love for nature.